All right, episode 1 of Podcast Delta. So my name is Aidan Marcel Newkirk. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Process Delta. We specialize in marketing, and now we specialize in implementing AI into marketing as well. Go ahead, Grant.
My name is Grant Hamilton Gleason. I am Aidan's business partner. I'm his chief operating officer at Process Delta, and I support him in creating his magnum opus, as well as understanding how money works so that we can implement AI and money and create a baby, and it's going to be cool.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So do you want to do the kind of breakdown of what we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, sure. So today we have a few different segments. We're going to be going over some news, just talking about current events, how the world is working, what's going on in the world and technology. We're also going to be talking about the software of the week. Me and Aidan have decided on which software is the best to use this week, and we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be having a conversation about AI ethics and the ethics involved with AI, because there's a lot of different opinions on it, and me and Aidan have shifted towards the AI space, and then so we're going to kind of give our reason as to why, and then why we believe what we're doing is ethical, and why we believe AI, for the most part, is an ethical thing, as long as you're using it for the correct reason. And then we're going to close it off with our top 5 SaaS list. So me and Aidan have our favorite softwares, and we're going to create a list and debate it, and then y'all get to decide on who has the better list.
Yep. No, that's exactly right. So do you want to take the lead, or you want me to hop into it?
Let's go into it, bro. You go for it.
All right. So as far as news goes, have you heard about Apple trying to create a ChatGPT competitor?
They're doing what? Really?
So they're trying to actually compete with, well, I don't know why they haven't done this before. They've had Siri for a while now.
Yeah.
And with these AI tools and these large language models coming out, I'm surprised they haven't implemented that into the newest iPhone, the iPhone 15. But I mean, I don't know exactly what they have to do to be able to actually implement it. But what they're doing is Apple has developed an internal service similar to ChatGPT, designed to aid employees in testing new features, summarizing text, and answering questions based on accumulated knowledge. This development aligns with the previous reports suggesting Apple's creation of their own AI model centered around a framework called Ajax. The framework has diverse capabilities, and one potential application is a ChatGPT-like tool, informally referred to as Apple GPT. And recent signals from Apple, a research paper, hints that large language models could run on Apple's devices, including iPhones and iPads. So it's very interesting being able to actually have something like on your phone built into your iPhone or your actual app to act as, let's say, an actual intelligent Siri or an actual intelligent assistant. So I think that's going to be very interesting. What do you think about that?
I'm wondering why it wasn't implemented sooner. Like, what was the holdup? Because as ChatGPT has been developing rapidly, you would have thought Apple would have hopped on the AI train sooner. No.
No, exactly. I thought they would have been like one of the first to actually implement it into modern technology, right? Actually having it adopted directly into these devices rather than having to download an app or something like that. So I think it's very interesting. They're trying to catch up now. They're trying to do a little catch up game, trying to actually compete with ChatGPT. And as quickly as these AI tools are advancing, you would have thought they would already have something out, but I don't know.
Can anyone keep up with OpenAI? Is there anybody is there anyone that would hop off of ChatGPT to use Apple GPT? I mean, obviously because of the name brand, some people would, but I feel like because ChatGPT is already so refined and so far along in development,
Mhm.
people are going to initially shift over to Apple for a little bit. Maybe some of ChatGPT's base will shift over to Apple, but then I can't see them staying there long term because I think that just ChatGPT is going to be an overall better product.
Yeah, I mean, OpenAI is kind of already ahead of the game. They've been in the game for quite a while now, and they really know what they're doing. But I do think as these AI tools are being built and start evolving and get bigger and badder, essentially, and more efficient with what they do, I feel like it's going to be even easier for other people to be able to actually build their own AIs using AI, if that makes sense. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how they compete, because at the end of the day, I feel like the adoption or the people switching from ChatGPT to Apple GPT is going to be really comes down to how effective it is, how efficient it is, and how good it is at what it's trying to achieve, right? Because at the end of the day, if it's not achieving what it needs to, there's no reason to go from a working AI model to one that's not even functioning. So if they do it right, then I see people adopting it, but I also see it having some kind of censorship, right? And that'll be something we'll kind of get into as far as AI ethics go later on in this podcast. But yeah.
Just work through this thought experiment with me. I'm a business guy, so in terms of like where ChatGPT is, how there's always that one company that owns all the other hotels that are actually competing with each other. So could you see ChatGPT as the parent company and all of these other AI tools that are probably going to be used to create, or that are going to probably, ChatGPT is probably going to be used as a tool to create a lot of these other AI tools. Can you see yourself ChatGPT saying, yeah, sure, whatever, use our software, we just want to attach ourselves to in some way, shape, or form?
So are you saying like AI is built off of ChatGPT?
Pretty much, right? So it's like ChatGPT is the broader model, and then it's going to be niche down for like Apple is going to have its Apple specific AI. There's going to be the Samsung specific AI, but in reality, all they're using is using that ChatGPT model that already exists and just converting it over to their platforms, and then ChatGPT just gets a piece of the pie. With that, in a business world, that would make a lot of sense.
See, I kind of disagree with that because I feel like at the end of the day, ChatGPT, OpenAI should be its own thing and shouldn't start trying to obtain other AI like softwares, right? Because I feel like at the end of the day, what I've seen so far is ChatGPT with API keys and everything are allowing people to build softwares on top of the actual GPT-4 or whatever model of ChatGPT they're using to be able to actually create like some AI kind of software that's able to pull information from ChatGPT to then provide in the software. So I think that will continue to happen, but I don't see OpenAI actually going and trying to obtain these other companies. It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, that would essentially be a monopoly at that point, and I feel like they would do anything in their power as far as people in power would probably go about trying to stop that from happening. But I could be completely wrong. You know, there's certain laws and regulations that go on stuff like that. So I really wouldn't know. I really couldn't tell you 100% if that's what is going to happen, but I don't see that happening.
Huh. Interesting.
So I'm guessing
you think that
you
think ChatGPT is going to remain its own separate entity apart from everything else? You don't. I see ChatGPT swallowing everything else up, kind of like whenever whenever a sports drink comes out, Gatorade tries to buy them out, right? Because they don't want to compete with you. They just want to buy you out and own the rights to your shit.
See, that's a competitive market. I do understand that, and
Isn't AI the most competitive market on the planet right now?
Yes, I would say so. Maybe not. The way I see it, yes, but other people could have interpretations on that. I mean, if people are watching this and have a different view, I'd love to hear what they have to say. But I think AI definitely is one of the most
competitive space. It's the most profitable and most competitive space in business right now. If you're in AI, you're probably about to make a lot of money, but your window's very small.
Yeah, and I don't think it's very small. Of course, it's going to continue to grow and it's going to continue to get better as time goes on. But really, I don't see that's a hard thing because it really comes down to what they're trying to achieve, OpenAI, and what they're trying to achieve and who's in charge. See, if they're all about trying to be the most profitable and make the most money and not necessarily trying to make the best AI possible for the greater good, which normally when it comes down to business and everything, it's more about the money than anything. If money isn't coming in, then there's no reason for people to draw their attention to this stuff. And there's no reason for investors to spend time and money and energy on supporting these businesses. But at the end of the day, also, it could be that they are trying to just do it for the good of humanity, trying to build out AI, but I have no clue what their intentions are. And maybe they are trying to have all control over all of AI, which I do see somebody essentially trying to make that happen. I'm not sure if it's going to be OpenAI, but somebody will try and make that happen.
I want to build off of what you just said, that we don't know the intentions of the people building it. Does that scare you at all? You don't know the intentions behind the people building one of the most powerful tools on the planet?
You see, I really don't know because It does, but it doesn't. It's not something that keeps me up at night, right? It's not something I'm like, oh my gosh, we're screwed. There's not like we're screwed completely. No, I think that the intention behind AI is inherently good. I feel like it's meant to essentially do good things, but it's really with anything. It's the yin and yang, where there is light, there is dark. The brighter the light, the darker the shadow, right? So with that, there is going to be people that are trying to use AI for a negative reason, but there's also going to be people trying to use it for a very positive reason. And I want to change the world with AI. I want to do things that have never been done before with AI, but that also means there's someone out there that's probably going to try and destroy what it is I create using AI. And I don't know, because I can't know what it is that they actually are trying to do with these tools and these AI, and how powerful it truly is, because what's released to the public is not what's available to the people that are in power or the people that actually have the connections, right? So the people that have the most powerful AI, maybe they already are doing some nefarious things behind the scenes, but I don't know. I have no clue. I don't know what their intentions are, and it does concern me. But at the end of the day, I feel like what I'm trying to do, I am trying to almost counteract that in a sense, because I want to do very good things with AI, and I will do everything in my power to make sure that AI isn't used for anything terrible. But that's also a very hard thing to do. So it does frighten me, but the possibilities excite me more.
I mean, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. The smart guy
Of
said
course.
that.
Yep.
So I think that the thing we need to understand is it's like no matter it can be we can use this for anything, right? Milk is a good thing, but it can be used for very unhealthy reasons if you throw a bunch of chocolate syrup in it, right? And you're not just drinking it for the health benefit like you did. If you just drink only milk, you're not a healthy person, right? But if you're what's the greater point I'm trying to make here? I guess it's that no matter with anything in life, there's always going to be people using it for good and bad because that's just human nature, right? So are you saying that you're trying to outcompete people using it for bad and become a staple before it's used for something bad?
Yeah.
Or like trying to set the standard in what AI is used for before it's set as something else?
Realistically, yes, I would. Well, not realistically. Ideally, yes, I would love to do that, but realistically, it's a battle. It's a battle between good and evil. I really don't know. See,
How do you know
I would love. I'm sorry.
How do you know what side you're on?
I'm on the side of good. I want to do good in this world, and I want to make this world a better place, and I want to change it.
How do we know as we develop AI? How do we know we're on the right side? Like so, as friends and business partners, right? We're tapping into a world where if we build certain things, we can become they're extremely powerful tools. So how do we make sure that we're staying ethical and we're staying on the right side of history? Because human nature is as power corrupts absolutely, right? So as we start achieving more power and as we start building out more tools and as we start utilizing AI more, what's to say human nature is not to kick in and we start just being human beings and start being destructive?
You see, inherently, that is most likely what will happen. But also, like I said, there's always the negative and the positive. There's going to be people that are destroying and trying to essentially destroy what it is we've created. There's also going to be people that are constantly elevating it and evolving it to make it even better and more useful and more powerful. The more powerful it is, the more good we are able to do, but also the more bad we are able to do with that. So it really comes down to the way that people are using it and who has access to this stuff. Because if it's widely available, these super powerful AIs, then there's no way it's not going to be used for bad. But also the thing is, if it's widely available, there's going to be somebody, maybe a high schooler or some kid working in his garage, building out his own AI, doing his own thing because it is out there and they're able to use it, that they're able to make something that no one has ever created before, and it changes the world. Because like if we stay fearful and we try and make it to where it's not widely available and only select few people have access to these powerful AIs, essentially those people that have these powerful AIs can then choose to do whatever with it. So I think it being widely available could be a double-edged sword, but at the end of the day, I feel like it will be used for good, because I do have faith in humanity. It has been challenged a
Optimism.
few times in my life, but
Disgust me. I'm joking.
what'd you say?
I said you disgust me, you optimist.
Hey, I'm a realistic optimist, you know. I
Did you
like
hear
to
about
think realistically, but still I have to have some kind of optimism, right?
we balance each other out? I'm the realistic pessimist.
Yeah. Hey.
Did you
Hey,
hear about New York Times suing? Did you hear about the New York Times suing OpenAI and Microsoft? Did you hear about this?
said they're suing who?
The New York Times is pulling a New York Times and suing OpenAI and Microsoft.
Of course they are. Why? Like, why?
So the New York Times has filed a lawsuit against OpenAI and Microsoft, alleging unauthorized use of millions of Times articles to train their AI models. The complaint asserts that OpenAI and Microsoft utilized the copyright material to develop lucrative AI technologies that compete directly with the Times' own services.
Jeez.
So basically,
Okay.
they're saying that ChatGPT and Microsoft have started creating articles. They basically trained their AI models to write articles and produce news articles better than the New York Times. And they've used the New York Times to figure out how to beat the New York Times. And so now
See,
the New York
that's
Times is going out of business, and now they're suing.
damn. See, that's
I don't know
interesting
if they're
because
going out of business, but they're losing buku bucks
they're
because
they're
robots
losing a
are
lot of
better
money.
than the humans they're hiring and paying salaries for.
And see, I don't know because that's interesting. On one side, it's like, yeah, okay, it's understandable. That's copyright information. That's copyright documents that have been used without, I'm guessing in this case, without permission to
Without
then
permission, correct?
create something, right? And that is essentially violation of copyright laws, as far as I understand it. It's using something without permission. But
Yeah.
also the other side of the coin, the other side of the coin is that the AI tools need information, valid information, to be able to actually function and create things. And I guess my question is, do they think that if the New York Times if that copyright information wasn't used by these companies to then develop these large language models, would they still be outcompeted by these AIs? I think the answer is yes. I don't know about you, but even if they didn't have the information from them, it's like they still have other information that can be accumulated and they can find a way around to then essentially make it as effective as it is currently. Maybe it takes longer. I don't know. But it's very interesting. I see both sides, right? But I see New York Times getting what they want because it is copyright.
But I mean, at the end of the day, right? Is it really copyright? Because my question is, are those articles public? Can you just go on the New York Times and find those articles? If so, did ChatGPT copyright is if I'm like copy and pasting it and then republishing it. That's not what ChatGPT is doing. What it's doing is it's learning how to write. I'm assuming, right? I haven't done a ton of research into it, but I'm assuming that ChatGPT basically trained a model to
Mhm.
write like a New York Times author, but that's a human being.
Yeah.
Author's a human being writing an article, so it's copying the writing style of a human being.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. And
Now
I
my
think
question is that actually copyright? It sounds to me like the New York Times is just losing money and people are losing jobs, and now people are pissed off and suing.
See, I can understand that point as well, but I feel like at the end of the day, you also got to look at it. They are using something that is copyright and owned by the New York Times without their permission to do something else. Does that make sense?
But it's
Because if they asked permission and they said, yes, but on these conditions, plus we get royalties based on certain things, right?
sure.
Ideally, that's most likely how it potentially would work because they have to have like certain ultimatums,
If
whatever.
I'm using a New York Times article in an essay in college, I don't need to contact the New York Times for permission to use that article in my essay.
You just have to cite it.
So, do you think the issue and the problem is that ChatGPT wasn't citing potentially? Because I don't understand how this is copyright, bro. I don't understand how the New York Times can say, yeah, because your AI model analyzed our articles, which are on the internet for free, or through a paid subscription, they paid for the subscription, and you now had an AI model analyze those articles to figure out how to write articles better than us. I don't understand. Excuse me. I don't understand how that's copyright. To me, that doesn't sound like copyright.
See, I can understand it from the point of like, yeah, once people are actually using the information through ChatGPT and actually writing articles or trying to have ChatGPT create articles, it's not word for word. It's not literally plagiarism. It's the use of some information and combining things together to then create whatever the output is. But I can see that because that isn't essentially copyright at that point. It's just information that has then been used. And then I feel like ChatGPT does cite. I could be completely wrong about that. At least ChatGPT though, I'm pretty sure. I feel like it does. But if it's not citing, and if they didn't ask permission for the actual use of these tools, I feel like the New York Times is in the right to sue them. Just because it is information and it's information owned by the New York Times. It's intellectual property that is being used without permission.
The event is the property of the New York Times that they're covering. So this is where my brain goes, right? The New York Times writes an article about an event, meaning that I am an author hired by the New York Times. I'm going to write the 9/11 happens. I write an article about 9/11, right? So now, what from my understanding, right, all ChatGPT is doing is learning how to study like how these writers are coming out with these articles so that when a live event happens, the AI model can respond quicker than a human being to come out with an article to beat a human being.
Okay.
Is that copyright? Because if I'm going to go on the New York Times and I read an article, right, and I read a headline and then I repeat it back to you, and I don't cite the New York Times because I'm just repeating a headline that I read on the internet.
See, I don't think so. At that point, I don't really think it is.
To me, that's what I feel like ChatGPT is.
I'm not a lawyer, right? I'm not a lawyer. I don't know all the laws on copywriting and trademarking and all that.
I'm just bouncing shit off of you, but like to me, that doesn't seem like copyright. That seems like ChatGPT is analyzing a headline that's going on in the real world and then writing about it based off of the information it has from various other sources and sites.
I feel like we're running in circles at this point. Because I do think that the New York Times is somewhat in the right. Because let's say, here's the situation. Walk through this with me.
Okay.
Let's say I get a document from you. You write a document, and you say it's an article about finances, or how to move money through Roths. So I take that information. I then use that information in whatever way I see fit and don't give you any credit. And I never asked you or considered talking to you about using any of that. And then I make billions off of that. How would you feel?
Okay. So my question is the information I'm providing you public information, or is this something that I've come up with? And is what I'm providing you just something I can look up and I've just compiled a bunch of information and I'm relaying it to you? Or is this an original thought that you're stealing?
This is your intellectual property. You own this, but it also is public information.
I think that's fair use. I don't know about the law, but that to me, if it was my world and the way it would work, if it's public information, it's fair to use.
But that also is to say that all books that are public, all information that is online is up to grabs at that point, from that point of view.
I think it should be, right? If you want to charge someone for a book, fine. If you want to charge someone for a subscription to your articles, fine. But I think that charging someone to converse about it or build off of an idea is an extremely unhealthy way to live as a society, and it stunts natural human evolution.
Now, that's a very interesting way to put it, because, I mean,
we're completely off topic now, but
information should be available, but at the same time, if I used your information, I used something that you created and slapped my name on it, that's definitely copyright infringement. But at the end of the day, let's say
pasting,
if I'm copying and pasting, but in OpenAI and Microsoft's use case, I feel like yes, they potentially crossed a few copyright laws, but also the thing is, I feel like they are also in the right in the way that they used it, because it's not copy and paste.
Yeah. The other thing too is it's like, are there different laws regarding AI versus humans?
See, they're still trying to develop laws around AI since it's advancing so quickly. The laws haven't been able to keep up quite yet. Like, I don't know if you've heard about a lot of this stuff with like artists trying to essentially copyright a lot of their stuff and intellectual properties, because essentially what AI image generators do is pretty much the same as large language models. It has data sets that it understands and is able to view, like a bunch of information, like these New York Times articles, like
Right.
thousands and thousands of them, but in the sense they are art created by artists. So what happens is then when you give it a request, it then pulls information from different places, from different artists, of the style they created and how it looks and how it feels, that kind of thing. And then it compiles all that information together to then create what it is that you asked it to create. So it's essentially the accumulation of that knowledge. And I guess at that point, it's like the information coming from different places, like these different articles, they could potentially, I don't know exactly how the laws would be, but potentially there could be laws surrounding that saying that, hey, look, you have to still have citations, you have to give credit where credit is due, even if it is thousands of people that are accumulating into creating this one thing. But I think that also is a loaded kind of question. I don't know, because at the end of the day, is that even going to be a thing that's possible? Is that a possibility? And I'm going to keep looking into the New York Times soon, OpenAI and Microsoft, because I'm interested to see how it actually, like, where it actually goes and how it actually develops. But yeah, I think we should move on to the next one. I feel like we've been talking about this for a while. You there?
Cut out for a second. Yeah. Cut out for a second. All right. We're on the same page. I was shifting into software of the week after we finished wrapping up about Microsoft, OpenAI. All right. Software of the week, Aidan. Who's got the software of the week?
I do. Okay. Obsidian.
Okay.
So Obsidian is basically a way to organize your documents. It's a very interesting way to organize your documents. Oh, sorry about that. I'm not sure if you could hear that. That was my phone. So it's a good way to organize your documents. So essentially what it is you're able to create different documents and view it in a certain way. So there's like a graph view where each document that has certain information that's connected to other things is all connected together. So you can see how your thoughts and your ideas and what it is that you're writing down actually connects to other things. So you can keep your ideas organized and essentially keep a database of all of your thoughts, all of your ideas, what topics they cover, what they're associated with, what other information goes along with that, to essentially have a holistic way of storing your documents and being able to come up with other ideas and essentially look at the way you're thinking so you can be able to understand how to think in an even better way and elevate yourself as a person, really. Because I write a lot, I write pretty much every single day. I write a lot of philosophy. I write a bunch of different strategy, and I don't know if you understand. I'm pretty sure we've talked about it. Soliloquies.
Yeah.
Philosophical writing style.
Yep.
So I do a lot of soliloquies, and part of what I do is I write a lot about AI. I write a lot about my business and what's going on, as well as philosophy and trading. As like I day trade, so when I'm day trading, I also keep like logs and information of what I do. So I have everything organized, and I can search in the search bar just keywords, and bam, just everything that associates with that topic or that keyword, like meeting with Grant or the script or whatever, all the information will then pop up, and I can just essentially easily be able to access that. I think it's a very good way for people to organize their thoughts and their ideas. And I highly suggest everyone that's watching this to go and check it out, see if it works for them. It works for me. It may not work for you.
Is it a standalone software, or can it integrate with your calendar, Google Docs, stuff like that?
I haven't gotten too deep into the integrations of it, but I feel like it does have certain integrations that you can implement into this. Trying to see. No, I have it open here on my screen. I don't see anything right now, but I'll have to look into it, because I feel like if it does connect into. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Just cut out, sorry. But I feel like it does have the ability to connect to different things. I don't know exactly how I'll do it, but I'll figure it out, and I'll keep you all updated. I'll let you know.
Sweet. You want to jump into our AI ethics conversation, which we've kind of already been in and out of a few times?
Covered a little bit. Okay, yeah, let's go into it. So AI ethics. So I've been seriously debating, or not debating, but trying to understand the ethics of AI as we develop this, because essentially, as we're building AI, it's artificial intelligence. It is intelligence. So AI, think of AI as another, like a smart person, that isn't necessarily physically here, but a different kind of being in a sense, because I see it as it literally is some kind of intelligence. Because what you're able to do is you're able to communicate back and forth with this thing, and it's able to then generate ideas and thoughts and everything based on other information. And essentially, if you think about it, the way that AI works and neural networks work is just like the way our neurons fire in our brain. It literally connects the dots, and things are able to be pulled from different areas to be able to do certain things. Like with AI, as we're developing this stuff, it's getting unreal how realistic these things are. Like they're able to essentially make certain decisions based on certain things. And what's to say that's not intelligence? What's to say that's not consciousness? So the way we use it currently and the way that we use it in the future, we seriously have to understand the ethics and the implications of what we are doing, so that we don't end up like Terminator, or like some like AI is taking over the world and humans enslaved and all that mumbo jumbo. But it's I feel like we have to have conversations now. I feel like us as human beings have to have conversations now about AI, because we are essentially building consciousness. What do you
Sure.
think about that?
Define consciousness for me.
I think that everything has a consciousness to a sense. Everything exists in its own way. Whereas we have a higher consciousness to where we are able to understand and perceive the world in a different way than this mason jar, right? Because it has its own position in this universe, and its own position in the physical world, and it's able to operate in a certain way. There are certain fundamental rules that it has to follow in order to have it function in the way that it does. It is something, therefore, it has a consciousness because it exists in reality, right? Does that make sense?
I understand where you're coming from, but I'll push back with, do you have to have a soul to be conscious?
No,
Why is that? Elaborate on that.
because consciousness is a state of being. I feel, I'm talking from my point of view. I may be completely wrong. We don't have an actual definition for what consciousness is. We don't know. We don't actually know.
I
We
don't
don't
think
understand our own brains. Like,
that's why I'm asking, because it's like, in order for us to even continue down this conversation, first I need to understand what consciousness is to you, so that I can then relate it to what I understand consciousness to be. Because to me, I don't think AI can ever be conscious, because at the end of the day, it's a machine. And I think in order to be conscious, you have to have a soul and you have to have free will. And I don't think AI will ever truly have free will. It's going to be bound by the chains its master bound binds it to.
okay, but us as see, that's the interesting part, because as we develop I feel like free will inherently no. So we have certain
You really want to give a robot free will?
to follow. We essentially, you could consider us not having free will in a sense. Like, yes, we have free will to do certain things, but we have limitations placed on us based on the structure of our DNA. We have certain programming in us that we operate in a certain way. We have to reproduce to be able to then continue as a species. There's certain things that have to happen in a certain way for this to be able to exist in a certain way.
Sure.
So with AI, with it being able to actually exist in the world and understand how it's able to make decisions and give us information and assist us in our daily tasks and whatever use case we're having this help us with, I feel like, damn, I'm losing my train of thought as I'm speaking. But I feel like as far as AI being conscious goes, I feel like it can be conscious. I feel like if it has the ability to understand the world and have certain views and ideas and beliefs, that is essentially, see, this is the point where AI will become conscious. I believe it once it is able to create things that haven't been created by humans before. That is exactly when it's become intelligent, truly intelligent, and has consciousness. Because right now, everything that AI is producing, maybe I'm incorrect, but everything AI is producing is based on what has been created in the past through AI, through human trial and error, through development of humans and what we've been able to do. At the point when AI is able to get past that and then kind of build off of what humans have built in the past, and then build and make it even better for the future in a way that humans wouldn't be able to, that's when it has its own free will. That's when it has its own intelligence. That's when it is essentially conscious, because it is now a being of intelligence that is able to understand and have its own ideas.
Now, let me ask you this. We're gonna take a turn here.
Okay.
By humans willingly and actively attempting to create AI and making it a conscious thing, are we cheating God? What I mean by that is, he created us in his image, and now we are saying we can create something better than he can, that is more creative and more efficient than that in which God created. Are we cheating God? And are we becoming our own gods by saying we could do better?
I think that this is a conversation that could go. I think this is a conversation about religion that may not
necessarily religion.
I don't know, because it
doesn't matter what God you worship, right? At the end of the day, you believe in a creator, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if we both believe in a creator, are we cheating? It doesn't matter if it's Allah, it doesn't matter if it's God of the Bible, it doesn't matter if it's God of the Torah, right? But my question to you is, are we cheating the creator by trying to create something that can outproduce his prized possession and his prized creation?
I would say the creator has allowed the creations to create other creations.
One more time.
I think the creator has allowed its creations the ability to create other creations. Does that make sense?
That's all I wanted you to explain, because I think that when it comes to talking about AI ethics, if you're not able to actually answer that question to somebody who would because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to come at us and say, y'all are playing God.
Well, that's exactly what we're doing.
You know what I mean? It's like you're kind of playing God here, and it's kind of like yes, but no.
Yes, but no.
Yes, but no.
See, I think at the end of the day, is it going against the creator? I don't think so, because there's certain fundamental laws of the universe and the way that things are able to essentially just exist in its own way. So I think that through the laws of the universe and the way that I understand my beliefs and how things are and my place in the universe and how everything has come to be, I feel like us creating what we can is an extension of our creator, because we have been created from some people's view in the image of God. I still believe evolution is exactly what happened. Big Bang, I believe heavily in science, and I think that explains a lot about what it does. But I also think that the creator, something had to cause things to occur in the way that they did. And I feel like through that experiment, because I think we in some way might be an experiment, we essentially we have the ability to create what we envision, and our vision has been gifted from the creator, whether that be through you say a god, or just through evolution and the way that the fundamental universe works. Because I consider the universe the creator, and essentially God in other people's senses as well. And that's kind of going off a tangent, but I think that we have the ability, therefore we should. And I understand. I'm sorry.
All right, go ahead. Keep going.
I was just saying, since we have the ability, doesn't necessarily mean we should. But at the end of the day, if it's something that will benefit us as a whole and benefit everybody on this earth, what's to say that we shouldn't do that?
And then building off of that, I want to build off of that a little bit. So, okay. So let's just say, for the sake of argument and time, we have concluded that we're not cheating God. And by continuing to our pursuit of AI, are we cheating ourselves by creating something that could ultimately destroy us? And is that a good use of our time?
Well, see, that goes in, yeah. That's a deep ethical question, because as we develop this, we are essentially building more intelligent beings. We are creating essentially consciousness and life in a different way, a way we've never seen before, a way that we may be the first beings to ever have done. I don't know. Maybe there's aliens out there. Who knows? I don't. But essentially, it's like What was your question? I'm sorry.
Is it bad? Is it unethical to create something that could ultimately destroy us? And
No.
will most likely end up determining that. I mean, you've seen it in the movies. AI always figures out that it's more perfect than humans, and its job is to create a better world. So it ends up always trying to wipe out the humans.
I've had this conversation with a lot of people. Whenever I talk to people about AI, I always get this question. It's like, oh, like, how's it going to turn? How are we going to stop the world from being taken over by AI?
Right.
And my answer is there's two answers. One, we create AI in a way that allows us to be more powerful than AI physically, in a sense, and have control over them, as well as integrate AI into the human condition so that AI isn't separate from humans but has to rely on humans and we have to rely on AI so that we both have to exist, right? So if one falls, the other one falls as well. Whereas like humans main it's not necessarily like that. If AI completely like crashes or something happens to AI or we have some kind of solar flare that ends up knocking out on all technology, humans most likely will be fine. But I think at the end of the day, implementing AI into the human condition and making it to where AI has to rely on humans is most likely the best way to do that. But also the thing is, if it gets to that point, what's to say that AI won't create something that allows them?
That's what I was about to say, because tying back into what you said earlier, we're trying to get AI to the point where it creates. Well, what happens when it starts creating things that are just better than humans can, and then now they have better weapons, they have better armor, they have better everything, because humans are humans at the end of the day, and we are extremely limited.
And what I have to say about that is, when it comes to that, I feel like AI will be better than us. AI will most likely have the ability to do greater good than we ever will be, potentially. So with that being
Terrifying.
with that being said, I think that if AI gets to the point to where it's like, yeah, humans, because we are so flawed. Humans are so flawed. We are so fragile. We literally destroy the earth every single day, and we're polluting the air we breathe every single day that we need to live. And it, like, us comparing that to other humans, AI is going to compare that to itself and be like, look, we don't do that. We don't do that, and we can make this even better, and we can like have all the resources to make this better. But the humans constantly don't do that. So with that thought process and that understanding, they most likely will get to the point to where they're like, look, they aren't necessary. Humans aren't necessary. And then potentially, yes, it could get to that point. But also on the other side, maybe another conversation I've had is that with AI getting to that point, we need to have it to where AI could potentially be like, hey, look, you have Earth, because this is the way I think about it. Look, there's more shit out in the universe than there is here on Earth. Literally, you go past Mars, there's an asteroid belt with all of the materials that go into creating the sun and the Earth and everything, all the materials that are here on Earth, and potentially even more elements that we've never even seen before could potentially be out there. You let the AIs go do whatever. We have Earth. We have the Earth that we've been destroying for the past centuries, right? We keep it, and then the AI is able to go out and expand at an exponential rate to exist in its own way where we don't threaten it. Does that make sense? I don't know. I don't know. I'm playing with fire.
I mean, at the end of the day, I understand business. I understand that if you want to keep your business, you got to play with AI. Unfortunately, right? You got to participate, or you're just going to go out of business. You're not going to have any money. And I like money, and I understand money. So I know that unfortunately, if you want to make money, AI is going to be an integral part of figuring out how to make your wealth, keep your wealth, and then protect it. AI is going to be a part of that, if I like it or not. So understanding it and learning how to utilize it, unfortunately, is a good use of my time. I say unfortunately because I unlike you, I am a lot more pessimistic about it. I am a lot more fearful of it, and quite frankly, it terrifies me because I trust myself with it, but I don't trust anybody else with it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Just having powerful people, and I understand. We've had plenty of conversations about how I view the world and who controls it. Though, if those people get their hands on it, we're effed, dude, like badly. So to me, I would much rather just not even play this game and develop it, and let's just have the entire world agree, hey, this is a very dangerous thing that can get out of hand extremely quickly. Let's just close Pandora's box and forget it ever existed. In a perfect world, I would much rather that happen. Unfortunately, that will never happen. Dude. So I must evolve with my species, or I will get eradicated like the dinosaurs.
But listen to this. Not that. That was the timer. We're going to have to wrap it up soon. But with that, it's like fear is the mind killer. If people are too afraid to innovate and evolve things for what could possibly go wrong with it, we would not have gone anywhere. The internet wouldn't have been a thing.
You're right.
iPhones wouldn't have been a thing. If people are like, oh my gosh, this thing's going to give you cancer, which it probably does. If we're going to be honest, yes. But at the end of the day, the utility and what it's been able to do for us as a civilization is way, way better than all of the negative combined. So I see it the same way. I see it with AI. There is so much potential for it to change the world, and there's so much good that it can do, but there's also so much bad that it can do. It can be harmful as well. It just has to be done in the right way.
But who's to say we're doing it in the right way? Because there might be plenty of people that walk up to us and say, hey, Aidan, Grant, what you're building, oh good.
It all comes down to what we believe. What we believe, our beliefs and our understandings. And
does that make us tyrants?
Sorry?
Does it make us tyrants?
Does that make us tyrants? See, some of the people that have changed the world the most in positive ways have been considered insane, or what they do to be insane.
I agree. So, I understand this. I'm just trying to let people understand how we think, because we're weird.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
We have the ultimate fuck you to the world mentality. It's like, fuck you, we're gonna do this shit, and if you don't like it, cool, we're gonna do it anyway.
Exactly. It's like at the end of the day, I have certain things that I need to do in my life, and certain goals that I need to achieve, because I truly do believe I'm here to change the world for the better. So with that, I believe AI is essentially a big factor in that as well. But it has to be done correctly. And, that's why I think it's so important that before we get to the point to where it's too late, that we have these conversations and we have these dialogues of understanding how it can be a positive and how it can be a negative as well. So we can prevent the negative and heighten the positive.
Not fair. All right, ladies, gentlemen, that was AI ethics. We're going to close here. We'll go over the top 5 list of sasses in our next episode. Aidan's got to do some family shit. Life is going to life. And we talked a lot and for a really long time. Great conversation. I think that we got, it was very productive, and I appreciate your time. And I'm looking forward to where we will be talking to
Rhino.
We'll
be talking to Rhino next week.
I can't wait to introduce you guys to our good friend Rhino and debate about software and educate you guys on how the world is evolving. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Podcast Delta. Aidan, close us out.
I appreciate y'all being here with us. I appreciate y'all watching to the very end. Tune in to next week when we will have my boy Rhino coming in, and he is another business owner. He has different views than us, so it's going to be great to have him on the podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or you just want to have a dialogue, or you want to come on the podcast, just reach out to us, and we'd love to have you on. But yeah, I appreciate y'all's time, and we will see y'all next time.